wanting to do some drawing on black paper, but left wondering, how do I transfer my image or my outline onto the paper so I can actually see it? Well, if that's the case, I have just the video for you. In this one, I'm going to show you 3 easy solutions to solve your problem. Hello, I'm Isabel Buckley, the artist behind Izzy's Art and Izzy's School of Art. Now, you may already be used to drawing your outline on white paper using a graphite pencil. When it comes to black paper though, that isn't going to work so well because it's not going to show up very well on your paper. Now, today I'm going to show you 3 methods that you can use easily to get that outline onto your paper so you can actually see it. One of them is purchasing a product. The other 2 are making things to help you, and you may already have some of the products around your house already. So let's get started. So this first method is for those of you who just want to be able to order something, literally pick it up and use it. So what I would recommend for you is this product called Tracedown by Frisk. Now this is a wax-free tracing down paper. It comes in white and graphite, so you want to make sure that you buy the white version. You can get it in packets of 1 or 5. So it depends how much you're going to be using it. But what I will say is I bought my sheet a good few years ago and I'm still using the same sheet, so you can use it lots and lots of times. So let me show you how it works. So Tracedown, how do you actually use it? Well, for this one, you're going to obviously need your piece of Tracedown. You are going to need some masking tape, a pencil. I have a 2B pencil. You are going to need either a printed off version of your photograph or an outline. This is one that I've got from when I did a tutorial with my students. And obviously you're going to need a piece of black paper. So what we are going to do first of all is either you can use your printed reference photo or an outline, whatever you have to hand. I'm just going to use my outline. And you're going to need to get 2 pieces of masking tape. Now, position it obviously where you want it on your paper is the most important thing. And then you're just going to put the 2 bits of masking tape along the top of your paper to create a hinge. This is to make sure you keep your paper in the same place and it doesn't move, but it still gives you access to lift it up, and this will then enable us to put in the Tracedown. Now, Tracedown. Make sure when you get it, you need to work out which side is the white side and which side you don't want. So literally get a corner, rub 2 fingers, one either side, and work out which one has white on it. So that's the underneath side. So let's get rid of that. And all we're going to do is just pop down the white side. As you can see, I have used this sheet multiple times and it is still going. So one sheet will do you an awful lot of pictures. So all you need to do then is flip your picture back over. Make sure you've got your white down wherever you're wanting to transfer your image, and then get your pencil. Now I've got a 2B pencil. I would suggest not going too hard with your pencils, like to a super hard one, because you will end up damaging your paper, indenting it and making it difficult for yourself. Also, you don't need to go too soft, because if you go for something like a 9B, it can be quite messy on top of your picture. But it really depends upon the paper you're using and also your pencil pressure. But just bear in mind, you don't want to damage your paper. So it's literally a case of drawing over your lines where you want to transfer the image. Now, you shouldn't need to press like really hard, but you will obviously need to press hard enough that the outline is being transferred onto your paper underneath. Now, tip for you, before you go too far and do the entire lot, it's a good idea to flip your paper over, just lift your Tracedown off carefully and check you are getting your outline onto your paper underneath. There's nothing worse than coming to the end and finding you have accidentally put your paper the wrong way up. The beauty of having it hinged, of course, is that we can just carry straight on without worrying that the paper has moved in any way. So you would literally just follow it round until you have got all your lines down and you are happy. The other thing to point out to you as well is when you're checking it, make sure obviously you can see your lines. But if they're like super white, maybe you can always just reduce your pressure down just slightly. You want to be able to see your lines but not indent the paper. Now, one thing I would like to point out to you about this Tracedown. Obviously it's very white on one side, and what can happen is you can end up with white marks on your paper. Now, what I would suggest is you've got two solutions to this. Either you can just brush it away. Make sure you obviously have a clean finger. You can just brush it away with your finger lightly. Or if you find that doesn't work, then just get yourself a bit of blue tack or a bit of white tack, I should say, or a putty rubber. Something you can mould basically. And then just very gently dab any white bits that you want removing from your paper. Now, I say very gently because what you will find will happen if you rub, if I rub a bit harder here so I can just show you, what will happen is you can see on my rubber it lifts off the black of the paper, and here you will see that I've got this line across my paper now where I have pressed too hard and I've altered the surface of the paper. So if you are using a rubber, do so just very gently so you don't damage your paper. Okay, the last tip I'd like to give you for this one is when it comes to doing your actual drawing, your outline, remove it before you put your coloured pencil on top of it, because otherwise you are going to affect the colour of your colour pencils and how it reacts. And again, just mould your rubber and just very gently just stroke over the top just to soften it off a little bit so that you don't end up with a massive white mark stuck underneath. So the second method that you can use is to actually create your own version of Tracedown. Now for this, you're going to need some white pastels or some white pan pastels. I'm going to show you with my pan pastels. Okay, so method 2, you are going to need some more masking tape. You will need a printed off version of your picture or an outline in some manner. You are going to need some pastels. I have got some white pan pastel. You could also try using a white pastel, soft white pastel. And I've got just a sponge to apply my pan pastel. And of course you're going to need your black paper. Now for this one, what we need to do is we're going to create our own version of Tracedown. So literally flip over your image, and then all you're going to do is you're going to get your white pastel, and I'm just going to get a bunch onto my sponge here, hopefully. And then all you're going to do is where the image is, obviously you don't need to cover the whole piece of paper, it just needs to be where your image is, which I can just about kind of make out through here. You are going to apply a nice layer of white over the top. So I'm just going to get some more here. I'm not going to need to cover all of mine because I'm not doing all of it today. But where you want to do your drawing, you need to apply a decent white layer of pastel over the top. Okay, like so. Now again, the only problem with pastel is it can be a bit dusty and a little bit messy, so just bear that in mind. And then all you need to do is flip it over. As you can see, it has left loads of white. So what you might want to do is do that separately away from your black paper. I'm just going to give mine a little shake today. And then put it where you want to draw it. And again, I would highly recommend getting some masking tape and making a hinge again rather than all of it sticking it down. Otherwise you cannot see what is going on underneath. So for this one, you can either get a pencil or you can get some kind of embossing tool, like I've got this one here with the rounded ends. And then you are literally going to draw where you want it to go. So I'm just going to show you with my pencil. So I'm going to draw over some of the lines of, just quickly to show you, of where I want to put it down. Again, I'm using a fairly firm pressure, but I don't want to dent the paper, as it were. Okay. Now, if you do not want to obviously get pencil on your photo, you could try using an embossing tool. If you do this, then just be gentle with it, because you don't want to indent the paper, as it were, so just use it lightly. Now again, what I would suggest on both of these is just to check your outline is coming through underneath. As you can see, the one I used with the pencil is showing up quite nicely. The one with the embossing tool is a little bit paler. Now if you are using the embossing tool in particular, just be careful you're not indenting your paper in any way. If you press too hard, you're going to put an indent in it, and then when you're drawing, you're going to have a problem. So just go gently. But you can see you get quite nice outlines with both of these methods. So I've got more white down this time, so you're going to have to just lightly give it a brush with your eraser, as it were. So you know, be mindful that it does leave it all over your paper, as it were. So you do have to be careful of that. So you might want to have a little practice first of all if you do this method, just to make sure you're not getting too much loose pastel onto the back of your paper. If it's not loose, then you shouldn't have too much of a problem with this. So method 3. This one is similar to the pastels that I've just shown you. But if you don't like pastels, or you don't happen to have pastels, then this one, all you're going to need is a white pencil. Okay, so method 3, all you are going to need is a white pencil, a soft white pencil. I've got my Luminance pencil here by Caran d'Ache. And then you're going to need either a graphite pencil or an embossing tool. Okay, you can either do this on an outline like I've got here on tracing paper, or you can print off your reference photo like I've got here, and use that. If you are printing off an image, I would highly suggest using the thinnest paper possible to allow yourself a chance to kind of see through the paper a little bit to see where your image is, to save wasting your pencils. So I'm going to just show you on this one so you can actually see through and see what I'm talking about. So flip your image over, and then you're going to need to get a white pencil. And all you need to do is to create like your trace down at the back. But obviously you don't want to put it everywhere because that would take a long time. So you're going to need to apply the white pencil very generously. So I'm using a firm pressure. Let's do it on the Bic. I'm going to show you on here. So you'd apply it all over where you basically want to cover up the lines, which is why it's easier if you can see through your paper, because you know exactly where you want to put it. Now, I'm using a firm pressure to make sure I get plenty of white pencil down. If you don't press firmly or your white is too hard, you may find that it doesn't work very successfully. So basically you would just cover the whole thing with the white paper, then flip it back over. Now again, you don't want it to move, so get your masking tape and just create your hinge again, so you can still check underneath, make sure that it's all going well. So, and then you can get your pencil and just draw over the top like so, wherever you want those lines to be. So, and then I'm just going to check it, having done a little bit, make sure it comes up, and there you go. You can see we have got the white pencil underneath. Now, if you want to use an embossing tool, then obviously remember to use a light pressure. You know, don't go too heavy-handed or you are going to damage the paper, as it were. But let's draw in this eye and have a look and see how that compares to using the graphite. As you can see, it's come out even paler on there, so it depends on how much white you want to get down, and obviously just make sure that you're not indenting the paper. The thing is with these embossing tools, particularly if you're using quite a smooth paper, is that you stand a chance of indenting it, which you do not want to do, well, unless that's obviously what you're trying to do. So you might find perhaps a slightly softer, like a 2B pencil, gives you a little bit more of a soft outline. But this one, again, because it's pencil, you've already got the pencil down on the paper, so it's going to mix well with what you've got. But again, you can always just lightly stroke over just to lift a little bit off and soften it, so you don't get too much white underneath if you don't want it there. And again, you'll find, although I've got a few bits here, they're very easy to sweep away, just like you would with coloured pencils normally. So this is quite a good method, I think. If you don't want to go down the route of Tracedown, then this is quite a good way of getting your outline onto your paper without it being too messy. So you're probably wondering now, which of these three methods should I actually use? Well, it really comes down to personal choice. Would you prefer to buy a product and just open it up and use it straight away? Would you prefer to make your own? You know, you may not even have pastels, for example, but maybe using the white pencil might work. Whichever method that you choose to use, they are all very good ways of doing it. If you have enjoyed watching this video, then please make sure you give it a like for me and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.